Hello, I'm Ken Specter, and welcome to my review graveyard, where I, as the name implies, review movies and lay them to rest, rating them on a scale of 1 to 5 gravestones, 1 being the lamest and 5 being far out. I'll be judging on characters, plot, writing, and overall how enjoyable it is. To officially open my graveyard to the public, I've decided to hold a Howloween special. This October brings 2 full moons, and what better way to celebrate than to bring 6 hair-raising movie reviews, starting October 1st with the Harvest Moon, and every Thursday after leading to Halloween night. On October 31st, as the haunting blue moon rises, join me with my favorite werewolf movie.
You know, we're almost not even related anymore.
So, without further ado...
What's more Halloween than getting eaten by a wolf man?
Welcome to part 1 of my Howloween special, where I'll be taking a look at 5 werewolf movies that I've never seen before. To start us off, we have Wolves, written and directed by David Hayter. Hayter, co-writer of X-Men and X2, originally didn't want to do a werewolf movie, but eventually warmed up to the idea. Not going down the horror route, Hayter wanted a hero's journey, to bring wolves into the same light as vampires. Wolves is about a high schooler discovering he's got more than just puberty to worry about. After the murder of his parents, he sets off to find out what he truly is. So let's get into this modern take on the Wolfman, and get this Halloween special going. The movie opens up in a dark room with Caden, played by Lucas Till, having a nightmare. His parents are just off screen though, so no need to worry. Through Caden's narration, we're told he was your typical high school teenager. He had a girlfriend and played football. All that's glossed over to make way for the important stuff. The cliché makeout scene that ends with Caden getting a little too rough.
Stop. Oh my god, Caden!
Covered in blood, Caden wakes up at home to discover that he murdered his parents. Or so he thinks. He has little time to process this though. Just outside his now ex-girlfriend sits with the cops. Traumatized, she calls him a monster, making him wolf out and head for the woods. Caden tells us he's been hopping from town to town in fear of losing control again. Researching his condition hasn't helped since all signs point to suicide. One night at a diner, he catches the news interviewing his ex.
What? I didn't know he was adopted.
He never mentioned to you that he was adopted?
No.
Funny thing was, up until that moment, I hadn't known it either.
As you can tell, Lucas Till is one of those actors who struggles displaying human emotion. So he just kinda comes off board here. His ex at least sounded mad about it. I dated an orphan? Ew! Caden, already not having a good night, decides to wolf it out on a couple of bikers. They were beating up a prostitute, so don't feel too bad. After mauling them to pieces, he steals one of their bikes and heads off. Caden is approached by Wild Joe, played by John Piper Ferguson, in a bar. Joe wastes no time in letting us know he's also a wolfman.
I thought you had to get bitten by one to become one. You can do, but
The bitten ones, they're not pure. They're just like mutts.
purebred one, like you and me. We're born this way.
He also says that Caden might have family back east, while Joe, having said very little, has somehow said too much and gets up to leave. Not wanting to lose the only connection to what he is, Caden convinces Joe into pointing him into the right direction. Lupine Ridge. Lupine Ridge. That's almost as dumb as a town of goblins named Neilbog.
Neilbog! It's goblin spelled backwards!
Arriving in Lupine Ridge, Caden decides to hit up the local bar. Although the bar is named Angel, the bar goers seem to be anything but. With all eyes on him, it's clear to see that this town doesn't get many visitors. This is confirmed by the drunken bartender, Gail, played by Melanie Stefano. She doesn't stay long though, because we have to introduce this movie's love interest. Owner of the bar, Angel, or Angela, played by Marit Patterson. They do the standard awkward flirting thing, but that's cut short when Angel catches the glare of Connery Slaughter. Yes, that's his real name, played by Jason Momoa. This causes her to run away and leaves Caden thinking he said something wrong. Not trying to get into a fight with the whole bar, Caden heads out. He doesn't manage to get very far though when he's stopped by John Tollerman, played by Stephen McHattie. John takes the young man and introduces him to his wife Clara, played by Janet Lane Green. Caden takes a liking to living on the farm and everything is looking up until Slaughter pays a visit. He questions John, who says that Caden is his nephew Danny. That seems to diffuse things for now. I don't remember putting in Children of the Corn. One night while heading into Angel's bar, Caden is stopped by someone using his real name. Carter Willis, played by Brandon McGibbon, claims to be Caden's second cousin. He says that Caden needs to leave because Slaughter will kill not only him, but the whole town if he finds something out. Unfortunately for Carter, Caden is kinda dumb and Slaughter's been listening in on their conversation. With a final warning, Carter runs away. Not being too bothered by anything that just happened, Caden heads inside to flirt with Angela again. The scene pretty much plays out the same way it did before. Gail's drunk, people stare, and character backstory ensues. Turns out Gail is Angel's sister, and they're also members of the Little Orphan Club. Seeing this as a way in to her pants, they begin to bond over dead parents. Meanwhile, Carter's found himself in a little bit of a pickle. Turns out Slaughter doesn't like people warning strangers about him.
Oh, this works, Carter. So run. Yeah.
Heading back to the Tollermans, Caden hears something off in the woods. Pulling over, he decides to investigate and finds Angela hiding in the dark. Teaming up, they peer off a cliff to see Slaughter's pack enjoying a little barbecue.
What are they eating?
His name is Carter. Carter Wills.
I can't tell if this is Lucas Till emoting or unsticking his balls from his inner thigh. They get back to the Tollermans just in time to catch the last bit of the news. Caden's story of killing his parents is airing, and the Tollermans decide it's about time they come clean. John says that his line of wolves came over on the first ships. There aren't many pure bloodlines left because a lot of them married outside of the wolf pack, John included. We also get a lesson in Wolfman 101, which we already heard from Wild Joe. This time though, Caden actually seems to be paying attention. Turns out Caden's mother was John's niece, Lucinda, who Slaughter idolized. Lucinda was one of the last pure bloodlines of Wolf, and Slaughter was obsessed with her. One night he took her by force and she became pregnant. Her father, threatening to kill her, dropped her off with John and his wife. They faked her death for some reason and she gave birth to a son. John convinced her into giving the baby up for adoption to make sure that Slaughter never found him. Shortly after, Lucinda committed suicide. When Slaughter found out Lucinda was dead, he seemed to get worse. He made himself a pack and took over the town. Now Angela is the only pure female wolf in town, and Slaughter wants a son. It's explained that he wants to leave a legacy, and if Angela doesn't comply, he'll kill everyone she loves. Who cares about Angel's problems and her forced pregnancy? This movie is about Caden turning into a monster. He reminds us that he killed his parents, but Angela one-ups him with a story we haven't heard before. Angela and Gail's dad was an angry drunk. One full moon, he wolfed out and killed their mother. Although it's clear Angel has some serious issues, she reassures Caden that he doesn't have the anger that she saw in her dad. They run in the woods for a while and get hairy in the barn. Later that night, the few good wolves are holding a meeting. They know that Slaughter is onto them about who Caden is. If he finds out for sure, they'll be dead, unless they hand over Caden and Angel and hope for the best. For some reason, no one else can truly transform into a wolf. Having had enough of this, Caden sets out to confront Slaughter, even though everyone warns him not to. He walks into Slaughter's hangout and gives him an ultimatum. This doesn't go over too well and leads to Caden being chased off a cliff. As he lays dying, though, we get a flashback of the whole movie. With some encouraging words from Wild Joe, Caden manages to get himself back to Toloman's farm. While badly wounded, Caden gets a lesson in sexual healing, getting him up in more ways than one. Angel tells Caden to stop being a little pansy and run it off. Thinking about this movie script, Caden gets an idea. Using horseshit and shotgun shells, they booby-trap the farm. While setting up the last trap, Caden hears a scream. Everyone's been kidnapped, but they did leave Caden an invitation. John, his wife, and Gail are all locked up in a cage, while Slaughter's gang throws a Halloween party. Angel is the guest of honor, dressed in white and drugged. Slaughter holds a mock wedding and says that this will be the night that he, the night that he impregnates her. It's then that Caden calls out from the darkness and tells Slaughter's pack that they've been bad doggies. Without much trouble, Caden frees Angel and runs Slaughter and his pack toward the farm. Angel, now fully transformed, kicks some ass and frees John and the others. Then she waits there with the other women while John runs off to the farm. Luckily for John, he must know a shortcut because he somehow gets to the farm before everybody else. It's time for the epic showdown. And when I say epic, I mean pretty lame. Most of the pack are taken out with a few shots. The rest are blown up in a barn, all except Slaughter. After the two do their best impression of a CW fight scene, Slaughter gives in. Here's where we find out that Slaughter and Lucinda were actually in love, and the only reason he acted like such a monster was because everyone said he was one. This doesn't make any sense, does it? Moving on. Wild Joe killed Caden's parents, framed him for it, and then used him to tire out Jason Momoa. Joe kills Slaughter, they blow up Joe, and the next morning, Angela and Caden drive off, leaving Gail to drink the bar into foreclosure. Before they leave, John gives them a list of names of other wolves from the Mayflower, meaning instead of abandoning Caden with some poor random humans, they could have just sent him to live with some other wolves somewhere. Maybe then we could have avoided this piece of garbage. If watching Filmento has taught me anything, it's how to spot a failure. Multiple starting points, heavy exposition, bad story, and wooden acting. Most of the time, the issues with the plot are due to multiple writers. That's not the case for Wolves. David Hayter said that this movie is exactly what he wanted to bring to the screen, and, well, it's not good. The characters are also one-dimensional. You know their purpose in the film the minute you see them. Father figure, rival, and love interest. The worst character by far in the movie is Caden. He could be written out of the movie completely and it'll change nothing. I will give this movie some credit as the werewolf designs are pretty cool. The only complaint is that it does come off a bit goofy, especially when they incorporate things like man buns. It is a shame though that that's where the creativity for this movie ends, since these weren't bad and in a better movie could have been appreciated more. Wolves' overall plot makes no sense, and worst of all, it oversimplifies a serious topic. It also doesn't trust the audience with how much it reminds them of certain things, like repeating the whole "you can be born or bitten" werewolf explanation, which the movie doesn't even really follow though. It relies heavily on everything being told to Caden. What we do see isn't that impressive, add in the wooden acting, and you kind of just got background noise. Not to get into Quentin Review's territory here, but there were a few problematic underlying issues. It was odd to me that they wouldn't try to link the werewolves back to the Native Americans, given that there were werewolf-like creatures featured in their folklore. There's also this thick layer of misogyny, and I don't even use that word. Join me next time for 1996's Bad Moon. When Dennis the Menace's uncle comes for a visit, things get wild. Until then, stay groovy.